my hands a digital copy of the album number 9 of Metallica, Death Magnetic. Back in 2008, I was very happy with it. To me, it was very simple to pick a favorite album between this one and Saint Anger. Death Magnetic has very good songs like The Day That Never Comes, All Nightmare Long, Suicide and Redemption. After so many years, Metallica finally released an instrumental song. Well, in conclusion, I was very satisfied with that album. Back then, there were lots of people arguing about the audio of the album. They said that it sounded terrible. I think that I was too naive to see it back then. There is something called the Loudness war, which is basically turning up the volume of an album in the mastering process. There's a top where the music can go up to. The bad thing is that if you turn up the volume in every single part, you lose dynamic range. Dynamic range is basically the difference between the lowest part of an audio and the highest part. There are few elements in music. There's rhythm, there's melody, and there's also dynamic range. It's that important. It makes the experience more pleasant and less exhausting. The reason why companies in the recent years turn up the volume on their albums is very obvious if you think about it. People will notice more music if it's turned up all the way up. If something is louder, it will catch more attention of more people. The more people listen to the music, the more people will buy the album or download the single. That's the end of the story. Back in 2014, I bought my first turntable, and one of the first LPs I bought, it was Death Magnetic. I dropped the needle on it and it was mind-blowing. The audio from the analog source was so different from the digital. It was such a pleasure to listen to that music. It's really hard to explain. It was just easier to listen to. The first thing that I thought back then was, well, vinyl sounds better than CDs, right? Well, I was too naive also in 2014. I was wrong once again. Yes, the vinyl sounded way better than the CD. The reason of it is not because of the source. You see, it's not possible to turn up the volume all the way up to a vinyl. In a vinyl, there are grooves, and if you turn up the volume all the way up, the grooves need to be wider, and you could only store few laps of grooves on a vinyl record. That means that in Death Magnetic, if you wanted to master it with the volume all the way up, instead of having 2 vinyls, you should have 4 or 5. That doesn't happen with a CD. You could turn up the volume all the way you want on a CD because it's digital. There's a video on YouTube called Why Vinyl Can Save Music. It's made from Craig from Vinyl TV. Craig explains in his video why the loudness word doesn't affect vinyl. If you want to check his video, I will drop the link in the description. Nowadays, in the mastering process of a CD, they pay a lot of attention on the dynamic range. And day after day, less records are released with the volume all the way up. Even though I like digital audio, I have tons of CDs. Death Magnetic is not a record that I will listen to it if it's not on vinyl anymore. And what about you? Do you like how Death Magnetic sounds in CDs? Or do you prefer, like me, the sound of it on vinyl? Tell me what you think in the comment section, and I hope to see you again very soon.